Of the thousands of troops who've served in Afghanistan. And we're here to ask some tough questions. How much longer will the war go on? Can it still be won? And what impact is it having on us here in the East? Good evening and welcome to the University of Essex. Helping me tackle those key questions, we have a panel which includes politicians from the three main parties and our audience, many of whose lives have been directly affected by the war. And we've commissioned a new poll on the conflict. But first, Alex Dunlop looks at why the success or failure of the Afghanistan mission is so important to us here.
With her fiancé at war, Lauren Fuller finds reassurance online. Families of Royal Anglian soldiers have set up an internet support group while their loved ones are in Afghanistan. Private James Bowman is on his second tour of Helmand.
His life's at risk every single day, 24/7. Could you imagine having the person you love that far away and you not being able to pick up the phone and talk to them? It drains you, it takes it out of you. The only thing that keeps you going is pride.
Lauren's fiancé is among 1,400 troops from the east in Afghanistan. Most are infantry. Others include medics, RAF Tornadoes and Air Force protection. Colchester-based 16 Air Assault Brigade were the first into Helmand 4 years ago. In just 6 months, they lost 14 men. They head back there this autumn.
Do they generally like you being here or not?
And local reservists are playing a far greater part in the conflict. Last year, I joined Royal Anglian TAs in Kabul. Some of them have just returned home. Others remain on the front line.
Being out there at first, they didn't really warn to us. But after a while, and they get to recognise a face, they become very friendly and they help with information.
It's been quite a busy tour for them, with the elections when they first arrived, and a series of over 7 large attacks in Kabul city centre during their time.
The biggest threat now are IEDs, improvised explosive devices, far more sophisticated than the ones I was shown in Camp Bastion 2 years ago. Of the 16 from our region killed in Afghanistan in the last year, all but 3 died in explosions. The latest, Luke Southgate from Bury St Edmunds. He was killed a week ago.
These are little messages that I put in James's parcels.
Doubt on the home front does undermine morale on the front line. But despite her staunch support of her fiancé and the army, Lauren questions the politics of this war.
Really, what are we achieving? In 9 years, what can we say that we've achieved, to be honest?
Alex Dunlop reporting there, and Lauren joins us tonight in the audience. Bill Rammell, Armed Forces Minister, Harlow MP. What Lauren is asking with that question is not what we're achieving actually on the ground in Afghanistan, but how this benefits us here in the East.
And it's actually here in the East and at home that we've got to win this argument. I mean, fundamentally, were we not in Afghanistan at the moment, before the Afghan forces can take responsibility for their own security, I have absolutely no doubt the Taliban would return, the terrorist capability, the training camps with al-Qaida operatives targeting this country and others would re-emerge. You would see a massive flow of refugees across the border into Pakistan, further destabilising that country, a country that's got nuclear weapons. It's for all those reasons that we're in Afghanistan, to make us safer here. Now, I recognise we've got more to do to win that argument, but our troops are doing an incredibly brave job on our behalf, and they're doing it to help us, but we've got to get that argument across.
Bernard Jenkin, Tory MP for North Essex, you're also on the Defence Select Committee. I know you've been to Afghanistan. No one here is criticising the forces, but is the message really getting across here? And do you think winning hearts and minds at home is really the key?
Well, I think winning hearts and minds here at home is very important, but also I think it's been very difficult for the government to make the case, because bluntly, a lot of mistakes have been made. We went into Afghanistan, into Helmand, very light, with 3,500 troops and a budget of £1.3 billion to last for 3 years. Well, we've now got 9,500 troops there and a massive budget. We're on a far smaller footprint, and there's 22,000 American troops there helping us do what we started to do in 2006. So I think we've been on a very steep learning curve. To answer that question that you ask, what have we achieved? Well, I'm afraid it's a sad fact about war is generally the war starts in a way that you never expect it to continue, and you make lots of mistakes. We've learned a lot, but I agree with Bill at the end of the day, we can't walk out on this because of the huge regional instability it will cause, and the soldiers that are out there have achieved a fantastic amount and enabled us to learn that, so the Americans are coming in having learned all our lessons.
Bob Russell, Liberal Democrat MP for Colchester, you have a lot of contact with soldiers' families here in this garrison town. What messages are you getting from them about morale and about whether or not people are feeling this war?
Well, I think the general consensus across the three of us is that we have to stay and we have to win, but it's more than a military battle, it's economic and it's political. And yes, we do have to win the hearts and minds. As Paddy Ashdown says, we've got to win the hearts and minds in the pubs and the clubs and the streets and the households in this country. And I believe that mistakes were made, and the biggest mistake was the diversion of invading Iraq when we were already in Afghanistan. That took our eye off the Afghanistan ball. But we must support our troops, and what I'd like to see is greater emphasis on the political and economic solutions, and we mustn't just have the military one. And it is disappointing that we haven't yet won the hearts and minds battle back here, because I think we have to stay for the reasons that Bill in particular said, and also that Berners mentioned.
Inayat Banglawala, you're the chair and founder of Muslims for UK, so you are representing the Muslim opinion on this panel. And what's your view of the morale here in this region about the war?
No, I think clearly morale is decreasing. I mean, we're seeing less and less support for the intervention in Afghanistan. Remember, at the outset, we were told that we were going to Afghanistan to dismantle al-Qaeda's bases, and we were going to defeat the Taliban and restore the rule for the people. What's happened, in fact, as we can now see in 9 years since the war, al-Qaeda have spread. They've spread to Pakistan, and they're currently destabilizing a very important ally of ours in Pakistan. They've spread to the Arab Peninsula. Most recently, we saw in Yemen, and they've spread to North Africa. Al-Qaeda have actually, rather than be defeated, they've actually mushroomed, and their franchise has spread. The Taliban are undefeated. In fact, they are now probably today stronger than they've ever been. They are coming back in enormous strength, and they are killing more and more British soldiers, as we have seen. And rather than us securing the civilian population, what we are seeing is our intervention is killing ever more Afghan civilians, and the people in Afghanistan are turning against us. Once that happens, we've lost. I mean, clearly we've lost.
Well, this is a point that we're going to develop a bit later in the programme, but I want to turn to the audience now and go to Michael Dewali, who was formerly in the RAF and left because he didn't want to get involved in Afghanistan. Why was that?
I think that Afghanistan is historically an unwinnable war. We should have pursued a policy of diplomacy and covert operations to defeat al-Qaeda. A good example is way back in 1998, the Taliban regime were prepared to discuss the extradition of Osama bin Laden. That was an opportunity that was wasted.
I'd just like to go to Aref Amarkil, because you've actually got a different perspective, but you are an Afghan refugee, now a taxi driver in Bedford, and you're happy that the British forces are in Afghanistan.
Yes, especially I'm happy, and my family happy, and I'm talking in Afghanistan every week with my father and my brother, sister, and they are all happy. That's not my idea, but that's my whole family idea.
Why are they happy?
Because we passed a very bad situation in Afghanistan, about the economic, about the education, about the women, they can't go to school or university. And also, we think about the future of all of the world. Now, this is not problem just for Afghanistan. This is problem for all of the wars. If you remember about the 9/11, 7 July in London, that's happened. And also, if we not stop that one, maybe future, a lot of things seem like that one in the world.
Thank you very much, Arif. Alison Burgess is a forces mum, has 2 sons out there, runs a support website. What do you feel about how we're winning the hearts and minds back here?
The hearts and minds of the families are one. We're really proud of our sons and our families that are fighting there. We hear from them that they're making a big difference in Afghanistan, and we want that to continue.
Are you convinced by what you've heard the politicians say?
I find what the politicians are saying really reassuring, and you know, it's very true. There are a certain amount of us who are very behind our troops, but I don't think it's me who necessarily needs to be convinced. I think it's like the heart and the minds of the general public. I don't think the public in this country are aware enough of what we're doing. I might know, but I'm involved with a soldier, but I don't think enough of us in this country are aware.